pleasant day to everyone. I would like to greet you all a happy new year. And I hope that everyone entered the year 2022 full of hope and expectation of what is about to come. So I would like to start my testimony by reading Romans 8:28 from the Passion Translation. It says, "So we are convinced that every detail of our lives is continually woven together for good. For we are His lovers who have been called to fulfill His designed purpose." In 2019, I was a college graduate, fresh out of university. I had many things I would like to do and accomplish, but I had no clear path in mind. I was just full of raw energy and enthusiasm. I was ready to conquer the world, as they say. At that time, a month before graduation, anxious thoughts would occasionally visit me. Questions would come such as, what if no one hires me? Or what if I'm not good enough? What if I disappoint the people who have been rooting for me? And all of these questions kept me up at night. But God brought me comfort in perfect timing when Pastor Cookie gave me a phone call. It was a job offer from LGI. We asked for WKs and God showed us you, Abigail. It was a 4-minute phone call that had many more details included, but it was in that sentence that God gave me His affirmation. 2 months after my graduation, I started to advance the Jesus agenda as a programs manager in LGI. As I said, I had many things I'd like to accomplish, but I had no clear path in mind. But my stay in LGI was more than just an opportunity to learn and improve my skills. Every workday brought me closer to the Lord, with colleagues who sought to please and serve God in everything they do, and a work environment that depends on the Holy Spirit for guidance. I came to seek God's big picture for my life. During my devotion time, I would ask God about my life's purpose. Until one day, at lunchtime in LGI, I asked if I could use the prayer room. While praying, I was reminded of that time when I was in first grade. We were asked to draw something that symbolized what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I remember drawing a microphone and a gavel, which we know better as the wooden hammer that judges would slam before saying, "Order in the court." After recalling this memory, I asked in my heart if it could be that God was calling me to pursue law. The problem with me at the time is that even when God offered me an answer to my constant question, I refused to believe it at first. To me, it was just a childhood dream that I never thought nor even spoke about after drawing it on a piece of paper. In my mind, the pursuit of law is for those out there, yung mga grabe yung talino. At sabi ko, Lord, hindi ako yun. Hindi ako ganon. But even when I said that in my conversations with God, every time people would ask me, my lips cannot help but say, yes, I would take up law. It's like a battlefield inside of me. My mind continues to argue with God that no, it isn't for me, but my lips can't help but prematurely declare yes. Until LGI launched Visioneering. A visioneering is where the prophetic prayer leaders would ask God for WKs regarding your life's purpose and His plans for each stage of your life until retirement. At the end of the session, you have a roadmap of God's purpose, plans, and promises for your life. My visioneering was facilitated by Pastor Mina, and the prophetic prayer leaders who gave the WKs were Pastor Cookie, Pastor Esther, Pastor Aaron, and Miss Laarni. By the end of my visioneering, I filled 5 pages of my notebook kasi kailangan mong isulat kundi lagot ka kay Pastor Min. And a 14-minute recording of every WK. Most importantly, I received peace brought by the purpose, plans, and promises shown by God to each prayer leader. Pastor Cookie gave my life purpose, which is to hear the cry of the broken and to defend the defenseless, which was coupled by a verse given by Pastor Aaron. It is from Psalm 82, verse 3, which says, "Defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed." The WKs were more than enough to pacify me and confirm what God had been trying to tell me. But it was as if God was trying to prevent me from having any more doubts. Not even a month later, former Chief Justice Renato Puno was also scheduled for a vision hearing. After the session, I was able to meet and greet him. While I was there, Pastor Mina took the opportunity to ask the former justice if he would suggest me taking law right away or if I should gain more experience. And without knowing what we heard during my vision hearing, former Chief Justice Puno suggested that I go for it already if I can. Come May 2020, I passed the PUP College of Law's entrance examination and began my first year of law school. To say that I was only anxious would mute God's help at that time. I was more than anxious. I felt inferior next to everyone. My undergraduate degree didn't have enough law subjects to prepare me for law school. There were a lot of terms I was reading for the first time, so I was learning at a slower pace compared to my classmates who took better pre-law degrees. I have read so much in my 2 weeks in law school than I ever did during undergrad. For the first time, I lost confidence in speaking for fear of mispronouncing legal terms. And I did mispronounce quite a few. I was only in my first month in law school, but I was already filled with nothing but doubts. Idagdag mo pa ang sinasabi ng seniors na i-expect na raw naming magkabagsak kagad sa first year kasi normal lang naman daw yon. But I wasn't ready to accept normal. I told God that if I'm going to do this, I want to be excellent. At isang mindset na naipasa ni Pastor Mina, sabi niya, if you're going to do something for God, do it excellently. And I needed help. I needed a WK. This time, Ate Vida Vasquez gave me a WK on how I should study. She gave detailed instructions such as arranging my study schedule according to the subject I find the hardest, cleaning my study area before I start studying, etc. And the last instruction was to read fast. God really had to remind me that all I have been receiving are not just mere coincidences but are all His blessings and affirmations. Because after Ate Vida said to read fast, I remembered that earlier that year, Pastor Mina gave us lessons on how to speed read and make a quick outline of what we've read. Ever since, I followed the instructions that God gave me through the WKs. 1 year later, I am finally in my second year of law school. Through God's grace, I passed all of my subjects and continued as a regular student. This feat alone would have been more than enough, and I asked nothing more from God. That night, I got all my grades. But then, we must remember that when God affirms, He does so lavishly. A few weeks into the first semester of my second year, the Dean's office released a list of names who were in the top 30 of their batch. And my name was included. Together with this, I was also given an invitation to apply for the Office of the Solicitor General's Legal Internship Program. The program only accepted applications from the top 20% of each incoming third year and fourth year batches, and they would only finally accept 50 to 60 applications. And I don't think I can ever put into words the praises that God should receive. For a full circle, allow me to go back to Romans 8:28. It says, "So we are convinced that every detail of our lives is continually woven together for God. For we are His lovers who have been called to fulfill His designed purpose." The little moments I have never minded did not happen just so it could only be an ornament in my life. Every single detail is woven together by God so that it would benefit His lovers who were called to fulfill His purpose. So I want to take this opportunity to express praises and worship to God for LGI, which He has woven together to work as a blessing to the people they serve. Without the life purpose I received during my visioneering session, I wouldn't have taken the risk to pursue law. And without the WKs on how to study from Ate Vida, and without that speed reading lesson from Pastor Mina, I would still be drowning in my feelings of inferiority. Without that one phone call from Pastor Cookie for a job offer, I wouldn't ask, "God, what is my life's purpose?" Truly, everything was woven together and worked for my good. To God be all the glory and every praise.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace.